I feel like you should be putting a clip of "I Need a Hero" or at the beginning of the podcast.
Did you not listen to last week's?
It's not a bird, it's not a plane, it's Superhero Slate. It's a modern podcast where we talk about everything that's great, like movies, TV, superheroes. It's Superhero Slate, oh yeah.
Hello everyone and welcome to Superhero Slate, the show where we run down the latest superhero entertainment news.
We love TV, movies, and superheroes, so let's talk it all out.
My name is Chris Dillard.
And my name is Mike Royer.
And despite Mike making this the longest intro in the history of the intros, this week we're going to talk about getting some flashy photos.
That's the sound of my flash, Chris.
Hint, okay, sounds good. Wednesdays are the new Fridays, and you'll find out why later in the episode.
Wednesday's the new Fridays. October's the new January.
My gosh,
I'm so confused. When is Morbius supposed to come out? I don't know. It'll be on
Wednesday.
A Tuesday now. It'll be on a Tuesday. It'll be February, and it'll be on a leap day. You'll never see it coming.
Yeah, that's fine. We'll talk about that. We're also going to talk about why Batman and Catwoman are in the news.
Oh my god! I didn't even realize we were going to be talking about that.
Oh yeah, it's going to be just because it just is in the zeitgeist. So I think a lot of people need to be explained why this is going on. So.
It was in the zeitgeist for so long too. Yeah. It just kind of felt like every day some new verified person on the internet just kept the ball rolling. And it ebbed and flowed with me. I had fun times with it, and then I got tired of it very quickly.
Well, I'm pretty sure I told you at one point, I'm like, if I had a nickel for every time someone's brought this up this week to me, I'd be a rich man. I was like...
It's just like, if you know me well enough, you know I'm online. You know I've seen this already.
Yeah, exactly. Like this is exactly what I get. I make my news every week, and it was there very much.
They're just trying to help, Chris. They're just trying to help. Yeah,
I know. This week, it's been a week, Mike. Happy Father. We're recording, so happy Father's Day to any fathers out there who happen to be listening to the show.
You got any hot, nerdy dads out there listening to the show? Send us your hot dad energy.
Yeah, exactly.
It's gonna osmosis through the microphone and make us hotter.
Mm-hmm, exactly. That's I told Mike today I treated myself to a new pressure washer this week, so I was outdoor pressure washing.
I mean, you're basically shaking your fist at fate right now, using your pressure washer on Father's Day. Like there's going to be a bun in the oven any minute now for you.
Yeah. Well, I like to think I'm a pretty good cat dad, right? Everyone, it's my cats that were enjoying.
Did they get you like a nice dead mole or bird? Did they bring that to you for your Father's Day?
They don't go outside. They are lazy as hell. So one of them who doesn't normally sit on my lap and needed the dough, if you will, made some biscuits, and I was like, oh, that's very nice. So there
you go. That's your Father's Day.
Yeah, I had a pretty good time with that. And then also the other thing is I bought me some New Balance sneakers.
Really?
Week. So
really?
Yeah.
Okay.
My white New Balances. I'm putting out the vibe. I'm out there letting people know.
The New Balance 574s look pretty dope. I've never owned a pair because they look kind of narrow, and my feet don't do too well in super narrow shoes, but they're a pretty cool looking shoe. Not all New Balances people out there are like straight up dad shoes. The same reason why if you go to JCPenney and you look at their shoe section, if that's the only way you had only ever seen a Reebok or a Nike, you'd be like, oh, every shoe is a dad shoe if you go into a department store, but you realize these are just offshoots that they make. So just there's a New Balance out there for everybody. I don't know why I'm shelling for New Balance. It's not like they sponsor the show, but I guess I'm just defending myself in the future when I eventually get my own.
It's true. New Balances aren't just the white dad grilling shoes that everyone thinks of. Even though those are the best ones. No, kidding. So so happy Father's Day to everybody out there. We're recording this later on a Sunday, so this is just one of those days. It's been hopefully everyone's doing fine.
The dads took priority earlier in the day.
Yeah. Well, hopefully also everyone's not being, cooked alive as the heat wave sweeps across the country, no matter where you are. So hopefully you guys are doing fine. I saw it was like 117 in the middle of the
Chris, come on, man. You got to think globally. We got fans in Australia. I think it's winter over there now, isn't it? That's fine. Like so weird to think about, right?
Yeah. It's the middle of winter. Like, isn't today or tomorrow like exactly the day of summer or something like that?
See, Australia's already on Monday. They're probably watching a Spider-Man No Way Home trailer, and we don't even know about it yet.
Yeah, they got stuff we don't even know about yet. They're in the future. They're on Prime Day, and we're not yet. That's what matters. Tomorrow's Prime Day. So, drop in, Mike. Tell me what you've been watching this week. I got nothing on that list that I can think of.
You're a busy man, still trying to move into a home.
I've been watching. Again, we at the end of the episode we will always talk about Loki, so the newest Loki. But I've also been watching The Bad Batch, which Mike has not. So I don't bring it up, but I've watched it every week. Every week.
We'll get around to it. It's on the schedule, if you will. But two things over here on Netflix that I would recommend checking out. First one, don't have to watch any of the other previous seasons. It's Alone. Season 7 finally returned with a new season. This was me and my wife's kind of comfort show during the pandemic. We've binged every season because it's like spread across multiple streaming services. There's some on Amazon Prime. There's some on Hulu. There's a couple seasons on Netflix, but the most recent season that is now streaming is on Netflix. And that's just a fun, crazy, intense survival show that's like very, very survival focused. There's not a lot of gimmicks really, if any at all. It's just all about surviving just out alone by yourself. And it gets pretty intense for a show where just like, it's a bunch of survival experts filming themselves, kind of like Survivor Man, Les Stroud style. So Alone, season 7. Go check it out if you need to feel like you are out in the wilderness, but you're an inside cat like Chris and I profuse on the show all the time. Next up, a new one on Netflix as well is a new season of the show Workin' Moms, which is a Canadian show out of, I think, Ontario. No, Toronto maybe. I don't know. I don't really go to Canada. I don't know how it's laid out, but it's a Canadian show that's pretty funny. It's a funny sitcom. I just like it because it gets raunchy, but not like in a cheesy way of just like, oh, look at us, we're moms and we're bad. So it's like the opposite of Bad Moms. It's actually kind of like smart and funny and clever. But they're like up to season 5 on that show now. So if you just kind of need a fun sitcom to crank through, go check out Workin' Moms on Netflix. And then the last thing, which I've been told not to pull back the veil, is I also watched Luca this weekend for free on Disney Plus. No $30 premium charge here. You're just a click away if you already have Disney Plus for Luca, Pixar's next installment. But Chris has not watched it yet, so I will hold back my opinions. And if we can remember, hopefully we'll talk about it a little bit at the top of next week's show.
Yes, I will. We will watch it tomorrow. We one of the other things I got my theater seats are in. Mike, I sent a photo to you, so we that's going to be like the first movie we're going to watch.
To be clear, not you bought tickets for theater seats. You physically bought the seats, and now they reside in your home.
Yes, I bought my own theater seats. Upgrade from my last one, and I'm very, very excited to kind of get into those and actually watch Luca as the first movie, because we've not got to watch anything yet on it. So they came in like the middle of the day Thursday, so trying to get everything else around the house. So yeah, that's pretty cool. So we'll talk about Luca next week for sure.
All right.
The other thing we want to drop at the top of the show is E3, Mike, the part 2. The other days we didn't get to talk about, Monday and Tuesday, and normally wouldn't do this, but guess what Tuesday was? Nintendo.
That was Nintendo.
Exactly, and Nintendo always comes in hard with some of their games. They dropped in some unsurprising ones, like a Mario Party Superstars, which is a Nintendo 64 remake. They brought in some sort of WarioWare game, I believe, as well, like another mini party game. But I think one of the ones you are pretty psyched about, right, even though you don't own a Switch, is the new Zelda game, Breath of the Wild 2, coming out.
Oh yeah,
I
think everybody who kind of just has a certain threshold of nerdiness that they cross, whether they play video games or not, keeps an eye on Zelda, right? It's one of those huge, big fantasy franchises. It's the same thing of people that don't really. If they're not super invested in Lord of the Rings, they're still keeping up on the Lord of the Rings news, right? Because it's just in the zeitgeist. We all have tons of friends that like play these games. So yeah, I was keeping an eye on that. I was a little disappointed though, because since I don't have a Switch and I'm not invested and I haven't played the game, all I have is just a fun trailer to watch, right? That's the only enjoyment I get out of the Zelda franchise right now. And they did not deliver anything up to my standards, which honestly they don't have to because I'm not buying it, right? But they gave the teasiness of the teasiness. Like, I felt like the last time they talked about Breath of the Wild 2, right, they hyped up this idea that Zelda might be some sort of playable counterpart, in some aspect that, they showed around the screen, possibly cooperating with Link in some way. And I don't think they showed even a lick of that possibly in this trailer. Just now there's like the sky has been unlocked. I think that's kind of the way that they're going.
Yeah. This is one of those interesting things for Nintendo. They usually don't release a game unless it's like got a pretty solid release date, right? They don't really tease you too much. But the one thing that didn't come out of this was the new hardware for Nintendo. The Nintendo Switch Pro wasn't announced. However, would that not be the awesome thing for them to do next year is announce their hardware and it launches on the same day as Zelda 2?
I mean, that would be smart.
Yeah, so like, oh, you can get everything. And I think there's going to be, they didn't announce it, but I think it'll also get a Mario Kart next year as well. But I've not played, I'm going to be honest, I've not played Breath of the Wild. We actually own 2 Switches in our house. We got the Mario version, and then one of the first games I ever got for mine was I was with you in California.
The
Marvel Ultimate Alliance,
the top-down game.
Yeah. So we got that. Then Pokemon's coming up and all that other fun stuff. So Breath of the Wild 2 now. So that's kind of got me a little hyped. I'm like, maybe I can play the first one now. I can dive into that. Now this next game, I don't know if I ever talked to you about. I talked about it a lot. Is Advanced Wars? Have you ever heard of or played the Advanced Wars games?
Yeah, this one touched a little bit on my nostalgia. This was probably one of the first kind of turn-based map style games I've ever played back in the day on my Game Boy Advance, and this is the one that they're remaking, right? This is the one I literally played.
Yes. So Advance Wars 1 and Advance Wars 2 were like some of the top tier, I think, for me, Game Boy Advance games you could have. You turn-based, you pick like you have army units, and they are better or worse against other armies, right? The ground is good against air is good against vehicles are good against ground, kind of thing. Like you rock paper scissors it.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, this is like the exact same style of gameplay of like Fire Emblem. Like I didn't get very deep into the Fire Emblem franchise, but it's like same gameplay, except it's no people on horses as people in tanks, right?
Yeah, and like it's similar turn-based strategy as like Final Fantasy Tactics kind of game.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
So very, very excited for this. 1 and 2 remakes, upgraded visuals, upgraded gameplay right to the Switch. All in one pack. I think this, like, everyone was like, why are you excited about this? I'm like, unless you've played those original games, I think that's, we're from that era. Like, Advanced Wars were like perfect to pass the time, and like it was still like really fun, and you felt like rewarded for like outsmarting and outmaneuvering your opponent.
I could taste the Mountain Dew on my lips when I watched it, because that's exactly the type of thing I would have been drinking when I was playing this game as a kid.
Yeah, exactly. And then I think that's the first game that kind of introduced me to the idea of fog of war in a game. I know like World of Warcraft had it back then, but I didn't own that myself. But like you couldn't see the map, so you had to like make guesses of where your enemies were coming from and attacking you from. So I'm really excited for that one. And this last one I just added because I forgot the trailer. Cruis'n Blast is coming to Switch. Mike, are you familiar with the Cruis'n franchise?
I have no idea. Is that a racing? Is that
the car racing game in the arcades? That was like there's Cruis'n USA, Cruis'n World, Cruis'n. There's a couple other Cruis'n ones. It's similar to like the Rush games a little bit.
Don't talk to me until they bring back Wave Race. People are tired of cars. They want to go back to racing on jet skis, a simpler time.
Look, will you meet me in the middle and go Hydro Thunder?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a great middle.
Okay, great. We'll meet in the middle and do the next Hydro Thunder.
You could not control those boats to save your life. The intensity on those boats was like when a programmer goes into their settings and cranks it all the way to like insane, and they win like $1 million at a tournament. But like that's the base for turning a boat in that game.
Yeah. Well, my favorite was in the arcade. You had to like to do the jumps. You had to like pull the throttle all the way back to 0 and then push it all the way to so like you're over there like slamming it down and back up every time you wanted to jump. So I was
that's how you bring the thunder, man.
That's exactly how you drive a boat in real life, Mike. That's the Hydro Thunder. But so the Cruis'n Blast came out. If you're familiar with the Cruis'n games, I dumped tons of quarters at our local we had a little restaurant down the road from my parents growing up, that they actually eventually bought that restaurant later, but they didn't have the arcade at that point. Literally playing Cruis'n games till I was out of quarters. So very excited for that. Is there any other things that stuck out to you there, Mike, for the Nintendo?
God, I mean, I'm trying to remember. It always feels like something's missing, right? When all three of them don't show up. PlayStation was the big missing factor. But also I have this strong feeling of even if PlayStation was there, nobody can go buy these next gen consoles, right? Like you were lucky enough to get your Xbox, right? But I want a PlayStation 5. I have the money, right? I can't get it. It's not in a store. I can't walk in. I can't even go online and order it. You have to just be lucky, and it's trending one day on Twitter, and you click that link before everyone else gets to them. So who knows when I'm even going to be able to jump into the next generation. But it's like a problem everywhere, right? There's like microchip shortages. They can't build them super fast, and you're seeing a lot of these like next-gen games being announced, and they say like, oh, but don't worry, it'll also be on PS4. But, you know, we're starting to get that distance between us from when these consoles came out, so it feels like that like, oh, I don't think this game normally would have also been on the PlayStation 4. I think they just kind of have to make a port for it at this point in time.
That I also lean the other way. Like, you know, a lot of developers did go work at home last year, so I think they're a little behind. I think it probably would have been on both for a little bit.
Yeah, obviously there's plenty of good reasons, but, you know, I have a podcast, so I'm going to complain, you know?
No, it's fine. It's totally fine. I mean, I get you. I mean, I wish... I know. I think Superfan Jim said he got a PlayStation 5 this weekend. He sent that over to me. So I know that you have to be actively very much looking for it to get one if you want to get one and be on top of it. And that kind of sucks because I was looking at, you know, going through Microsoft's E3, and a lot of them are, you know, next gen optimized. You can play them on the last one, but they're next gen optimized, which is what you want for you know 2021 when you're gaming. So. Hopefully we find something soon. Yeah, if anyone else has anything, there was a Metroid game announced, but it's like a 2D Metroid game.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm sure there's some big Metroid fans that are really into that, but I feel like there's a subsect of people that are like, where's my next first-person shooter one, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, where did that go? I mean, again, I'm excited for Mario Golf this week, but I really wanted a new Mario Kart. Like, we've been playing Mario Kart 8 since like 2013, 2014. I'm like... Can we get like a new one, please? I want to do that and play it online. So, knock on wood. But that's our E3 recap. We finally got through it. We got through that, so we can actually jump in to the superhero news. That's what we're here for. And we're gonna jump in with the Flash. We got some our on-set photos, right? Filming photos, and the first one here is a grouping from Twitter showing is her name Sasha Calle or
let's just say Calle, Calle.
Yeah, Calle. So if you scroll down, the fourth image shows her in her Supergirl outfit in a harness flying around, and Mike sent this first photo to me, I believe, and it looks ugly. I apologize. It's not this girl's fault. It is not her problem. But man, anyone in a harness just looks very uncomfortable, and like bunched up, don't they? Like when they're floating around in it.
Yeah, if you don't remember, but this is a very, very good reason to subscribe and listen to the Superhero Slate podcast, because we've been at this for a bit now, right? Of the first costume reveal of the Black Panther in Civil War was a harnessed suit, and it looks exactly like this, really weird and wrinkly and like kind of hiked up in odd spots. So when I saw the picture, you know, you got to kind of put it through a mental filter, right? But if I'm looking at kind of like the aesthetics of the suit, you know, I think it looks pretty cool, right? It looks exactly like it would have come off of like the Henry Cavill like spaceship that fell, right? The only thing that's kind of odd is the weird ab inlay, right?
Yeah.
Like every superhero suit has like fake abs on it, right? Because no human being on the planet is shredded enough for the abs to poke through human fibers, right? That we can make, right? But these kind of like fake abs look weird. They almost have like this
like
odd
ridges.
Yeah, they like, you know, like an ab muscle has like a volume to it. These almost look like kind of like little lines that are put in there. So who knows, maybe it could be part of the harness. I don't know. I won't judge it too harshly past that.
It will probably be taken out by the time they get to the actual movie, or at least look better. So what's cool about this one is this is actually the Supergirl suit from the Injustice comic book series, because she has the red and yellow S, and her top is the top of her shoulders is kind of red, kind of like a Spider-Man, like the Miles suit is, but there's no red below like below the bust on it. So it's very interesting that they took the Injustice design for this Supergirl. So I don't know. Again, we know the Flash is kind of going around in several places. What universe is this in?
Yeah,
Where's
that's
it
what I
taking
was.
place at?
Yeah, that's what I was going to bring up, right? So in these same photos, this seems to be they're shooting on some sort of steps of like a city hall, maybe a courthouse or something like that. Like they're out there in the city. And we know that this version of Michael Keaton's Batman is supposed to be from kind of this oh god, his name's on the tip of my tongue. The guy who made the Batman movie that he was in.
Tim Burton?
Tim Burton, that's right. I kept wanting to say Bruce, but no, it was Tim. Tim Burton. So this is supposed to be Tim Burton's kind of Batman universe, right? So if this is where they are, this Supergirl outfit does not scream to me Tim Burton universe, right? Now, I'm not saying it has to be crazy and trippy like a lot of Tim Burton art, right? But this very much feels like a Zack Snyder costume. Yeah. But we also know that this is supposed to be jumping universes, so he could be maybe taking Michael Keaton with him along a couple different places. Maybe he's in a different universe. Maybe the universe has fractured a little bit, and maybe Supergirl's jumping over from another world or something like that. I don't know. But overall, from what we are visually seeing here, I think it looks fine. I have no problems.
Yeah, I mean, give credit where credit's due. DC does a good job with their costuming, right? Like nothing on there looks like, oh my god, that's offensive. They do great jobs with their costumes, and I think this is just another knockout of the park here. Now, I want to go and let's jump to the bottom one. Kiersey Clemons, who was only in the Zack Snyder version of Justice League, is returning as Iris West here in some set photos. Now, what's interesting here is the first photo shows Iris West and Barry Allen, like walking down, looks like some sort of courtroom steps, possibly. But the second one shows the actor who plays Barry Allen. What's his name?
Ezra Miller.
Very much not looking like the Flash that we know. Like he looks, I don't know, like maybe a different universe version of Barry Allen could be. He's not wearing, again, it's not because he's wearing this business suit, but his haircut looks kind of weird, if you will, compared to the other ones. So do you think that maybe we might come across other Flashes as well in this universe, or just follow the one as he pops around to different places?
Yeah, that's a whole nother narrative thing that like comic book authors can do with multiverses, right? Or even, movie authors as well, right? So if you're in a multiverse, are you trying to tell me this is a mirror image of our universe, but, people's lives just went down a different direction, right? Or are you saying this is a totally different instance of life, and Earth totally evolved in a different way? And they play with it really however works the best for the story, right? They did this a lot in some of the earlier seasons of The Flash when they started jumping worlds on the TV version, the CW's Flash. So they would go to like a different Earth and like, a different person would be the Flash, but Barry Allen would still be there, but he's not superpowered. He just like sells coffee or something like that. So it's really however you want to play it. So yeah, who knows? This could be a different Ezra Miller.
Yeah, well, and also Ezra Miller did appear in the TV show The Flash on the end of the Crisis on Infinite Earths, indicating, yes, there are different Barry Allen. So it could be that. It could also be, a regular one. One of the third photo down on that Twitter link, Mike, shows Barry standing there. He's got a ring on his finger. And in the comic books, his ring, or his suit, comes out of the ring on his finger, his speedster suit, which is a really interesting idea, very dated comic book idea.
Yeah, it is the weirdest, it is the strangest concept, right? Of just like, he needs to hide his suit somewhere. Let's hide it in a ring. And like, I feel like the most logical route we've ever gotten to of a costume kind of being thrown on you was when Iron Man had all of those nanobots on him, on like in an on-screen version, right? But in reality, like, he's so fast, he could just have the suit in like a backpack within 5 square miles, right? Yeah. He could just run and put it on real quick and come back. So I've always thought the suit in the ring was always like kind of goofy, but it's like this legacy idea, and really it only ever pops up, when it's just kind of fun.
Yeah, it's always, I mean, that's the DC problem, right? Superman always had to go to a phone booth to change his outfit and so on and so forth. So they solved it with the Flash, but this ring and being so fast he could put it on really quick. Now the middle photo here is probably the most interesting. I think most people are blowing up today about this one. It's hot off the presses, Mike, as we said earlier. Michael Keaton as Bruce Wayne here. He has got his classic Batman '89 hair back in action here. Like, he is wearing it, rocking it with the widow's peak is up and back, feathered back. Now, I've been reading that this is from the final scene of The Flash, indicating that, again, this Bruce Wayne will be, in fact, in the DC Prime cinematic universe, and this is him kind of taking that role.
Look at the crowd. look at the extras. Does anybody look like they may or may not be called Terry McGinnis? Because this might be where the Batman Beyond character comes out of the crowd and shakes hands with Michael Keaton. I don't know. Keep an eye out for anybody. I'm guessing Terry McGinnis has Irish roots, so does anyone look Irish in this? I don't know. They could change the cast.
I hope they don't do a what was that Batman the Dark Knight Returns or Dark Knight Rises situation. Oh, this isn't your real name. Your real name's Robin. Oh,
okay.
Oh, your real name's Terry McGinnis.
Oh.
Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, this is cool seeing Michael Keaton return to a role he hasn't been since 1991, 30 years ago. So, and he's doing double duties, right? He's being the Vulture, Adrian Toomes, and Spider-Man and the Sony universe now, and then also dipping his toes back into DC. Man, this guy is living the superhero dream over there, cashing those checks. Remember when he was Mr. Mom? Was it Mr. Mom? Multiplicity. You know, he was on.
Multiplicity. Yep.
He was on a downturn, so that's really cool. I did have a photo here, Mike. I lost it. They have the Batmobile or the Bat car that Bruce Wayne was driving somewhere. If I find it, I'll put it back in here. We can talk about it. But it looks like I've lost the link to it. But they are showing a very, very long car on set while they're filming all this stuff going on right now, which is pretty cool. I mean, this we always say don't take back or behind the scenes photos, like take them with a grain of salt. But like, it's always fun to see them still, right? Like, you know, like it's great to see that kind of stuff, and kind of get a little preview. Here it is, Mike. I'm gonna drop it in here. Everyone can go to our show notes because you listen to me find these live on the on thing. So this is like his car at the end of this movie. Like, look at how long this car is.
Okay, so now this is actually important though, right? Because this does scream Tim Burton all over it, right? The long, exaggerated lines, kind of this nostalgia of like a Art Deco and the 1950s. And I feel that very much all over this car, right? So now this is making me thinking like, okay, I could see Michael Keaton like being carried to other universes with Barry Allen, but like he's not going to bring his car with him, right? So I guess I just kind of have to square the idea of this Supergirl costume fitting within kind of like that universe. But, you know, at the same time, logically, you know, whether it's a different universe from the one we're familiar with, it's still going to evolve with time. So I guess you do kind of have this production designer's kind of problem-solving task of like, let's look at Tim Burton's Batman from back in the day. Now, how would it have evolved over the decades, right? Everyone's aesthetic evolves, you know, no matter what universe that you're in. So who knows? We'll see. Everything so far looks cool, though. Everything makes me excited to see a DC movie, which doesn't happen often, right?
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing is, again, most people, this is Supergirl, not Superwoman. Superwoman's a different character, the blonde one. But Supergirl could technically be in the mainline. Maybe she's a causality of Barry Allen going to different universes and merging these together.
She's a timekeeper, Chris. That's what it sounds like. She's protecting the multiverses.
Yeah, that or she's Henry Cavill's replacement. One of the two, whichever one you want to go with. So yeah, we'll move along. Aquaman 2. This was actually the other week. I forgot to put this in the notes, and I've been meaning to put it back in. The sequel for Aquaman 2 has been titled Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom.
All right.
Sounds pretty fair, right? So it sounds like there's going to be another tribe of underwater people we're going to come across that are probably either very technologically advanced or possibly savages, but with a big army. So
I think the best visual experience for me in an Aquaman movie is something that takes place above water and below water in equal parts, right? Last time we reviewed Aquaman, I kind of talked about how after, you know, so many hours, it's just like the underwater just kind of gets boring, right? You know, everything kind of, you know, physically has to look a little bit murky because only so much light gets down there and everything's like flowy and stuff. And you're just kind of like, I don't really feel very grounded because I'm not a fish person. But it would be kind of cool if this Lost Kingdom, whatever it is maybe it's like a land-based kingdom with lots of water that Aquaman can still play in, right?
Maybe the middle of the earth is hollow and
oh god, Brendan Fraser's down there with a dinosaur.
Yeah, exactly. So or was it The Rock? Didn't he have one, Journey to the Center of the Earth, as well?
I feel like everybody have one. Didn't Will Ferrell also have one too?
Oh yeah.
Everyone goes to the center of the. Everyone's going to the center of the earth at some point. Yeah. Didn't Indiana Jones? Where was Kingdom of the Crystal Skull? Was that inside the earth, or was that just kind of in a weird like lost jungle that for some reason our satellites have never seen before?
I don't know.
Well, I guess they didn't really have satellites. I always I forget what decade he's supposed to be living in nowadays, right?
It was like the 60s in that one, I think. Yeah, because it was after the World War Nazis.
Does that mean does that mean his character has aged up enough now that he's gonna have to deal with like, I don't know, like 90s hit clips? Is that gonna be where his next clue is? He's got to go into a Walmart and buy a hit clip or something?
No. They talked about it. I think it's like maybe the 70s, possibly the 80s at the latest for him. So
okay,
sadly,
gotcha.
But so this film's still coming out December 16th, 2022, which seems pretty soon. This movie isn't filming yet. I know Amber Heard just posted a letter saying welcome back to the crew, so they better be filming this pretty quick and getting a turnaround. But don't be surprised if Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom gets delayed for not meeting some of his deadlines coming up here sooner than later. So the Suicide Squad, James Gunn is a social media addict. He loves being on there. He loves answering questions. He loves shooting down trolls. So much he got fired from Disney, rehired, but he got to do the Suicide Squad in between. This movie is 2 hours and 12 minutes confirmed by him this weekend as well. So seems about a pretty standard movie, right? Action
Good
film.
run time, not too long, not too short.
I like it. Seems pretty good. It's not 4 hours, and I'm happy about that. Also, he did confirm there is a post-credit scene. And,
yes.
And he is very adamant that people go and watch the movie and not just the post-credit scene. He's like, there's more to this than just a post-credit scene. That's I think. Do you think it'll tie into something bigger, or do you think it'll just be something fun like a?
It could tie in. I mean, it could either be either way, right? James Gunn's a very playful filmmaker, but also he does have Peacemaker coming out, and I would assume he knew, how those two would delve into each other. So maybe the post-credit scene will be for Peacemaker. That actually would be the first time we had ever seen a movie post-credit scene lean to a TV show, because it's not like we've seen a Marvel movie like hint at one of these Disney Plus shows, right? So that'd be kind of cool. That might be a first.
Yeah. Well, the other only thing I see with that is, and just for reference, Peacemaker is a prequel to this one, so maybe still could happen, but but it isn't. It is a prequel, so he could still die in this movie. That's why he's like, I'm going to do a prequel, so we don't know what his fate's going to be in this movie yet. So he seems to be filming that. Looks to be having fun. And then just a reminder, this is releasing Suicide Squad in theaters and HBO Max on August 6th. So here, as soon as we get Black Widow next month, we'll be turning around and getting Suicide Squad like right around the corner. So very excited for that. Harley Quinn, the animated show. I believe there's a producer said Warner Brothers and DC had them remove a sexual scene involving Batman and Catwoman from the upcoming season. And this caused the internet to literally blow up / break, Mike. I know we hate the phrase break the internet, but I feel like this is the closest we've ever gotten with superhero stuff.
Well, you have down here in the show notes internet blow up, and I would say that might be more accurate, right? Yeah. And this was just crazy, right? Because I think people just love it when anything kind of immature and sexual crosses paths, right? Because it's just there's so much cannon fodder here. But the craziest thing, right? Like whenever people talk about the sexuality of superheroes, right? Usually when it comes around to Batman, I thought the whole internet had agreed that Batman was like gay, right? Wasn't that the whole thing that the internet jumped on? That like, he has all these boy wards that he keeps around. And like he's never dating, he's always single. Everyone just like assumed that like he was just like this gay superhero, and the internet just loved making jokes about it, and stuff like that. So I mean, maybe the producer was just like, no, Batman's gay, he's not going down on Catwoman.
So here's what. So literally, from the producer Justin Halpern on Harley Quinn said that DC prevented them from including a scene with Batman performing oral sex on Catwoman. And his exact response was, DC replied, "We sell consumer toys for heroes. It's hard to sell a toy if Batman is also going down on someone." I think
the real answer here, right, if you cut through all like the funny memes and bullshit, right, is that even though Harley Quinn is a very kind of like satirical, crazy adult type style show, they're mainly dealing with characters that like children don't have like this heartfelt connection to, right, that don't drive billions of dollars at the box office, and like they're B, C-list, sometimes A-list characters that you can kind of just play around with and have a good time. I'm sure there's a big rated M for mature every time you hit play on HBO Max so your kids don't jump into Harley Quinn on the HBO Kids section or whatever. But it's just like the same thing we saw with the CW TV shows, right? Like Batman is AAA S tier IP, right? You know, he is only ever going to be allowed to do a certain set of things, even if it's just like on an offshoot animated show. I mean, people were like screaming all the time to see some of these characters pop up in the Flash TV show. Like, even when a show gets amazing ratings, arguably doing more effective superhero storytelling than some of the movies were doing, they still couldn't touch some of the stuff. So I think that's exactly what we're seeing here, of just like, no, Batman's not going to do sexual stuff, you know?
Yeah, we don't want to have to explain this to someone later. Someone's gonna write a letter on because their kids saw it on accident.
Now, I bet the show could have gotten away with it if it was done off camera and it was insinuated. They just don't want the screenshot floating around, right? They don't want somebody to actually have to render what's happening so people can screen cap it and share it as a meme. But I'm sure the script showed it more literally, right?
Exactly. A scene with that is what he said. Like, I think Harley Quinn has made worse jokes than that throughout its 2 seasons so far.
But if you want to see it visually, there's a certain filmmaker out there who went out of their way to show you exactly what it would look like, Chris.
Yeah, exactly. Zack Snyder has no shame to really hop on any bandwagon that includes Batman or Superman at this point. So if you want to follow him, he even put it on his Twitter. He didn't put it on his Vero. He put it on his Twitter. So you can go check that out. Other people, this has gone back and forth. This is something we've talked about going back and forth all week is some people are like making fun of it. Some people are like, yeah, it's funny, but like, yeah, let's just leave it alone. So if you hear anything about Batman and Catwoman this week, that is why. This is the exact reason. And I've had to explain it to at least 2 people so far. They're like, what is this Batman thing? I'm like, you don't really want to know because it's gonna ruin your day.
This is how Snyder's going to get his fans to push for that nightmare version of his next movie, because he's like, you're going to see Bruce go down on Catwoman. Of course, I got to introduce Catwoman, so I don't know how I'm going to pull that off. I'm going to need a whole other movie to do that. So
that hasn't stopped him yet. He introduced half the Justice League in the Justice League, so I think he'll be fine. I think he'll find a way. So so that's out there. That's a thing. Moving on to Batman adjacent property, the Titans, the HBO Max now showed DC Universe, the season 3 trailer, which I forgot to link here, hints at the death in the family storyline. Are you familiar with that storyline?
Yeah, it's from the Joker kills Robin.
Yes, very much so. Very, very graphically with a crowbar. And this trailer literally starts off. You've been watching Titans, right? A little bit.
I have been slowly dabbling my feet in it. Yeah.
Yeah, so in this one it shows Jason Todd walking through a abandoned carnival, and then you hear a Joker laugh, and then you see someone literally smacking him with a crowbar. Now, I don't think personally that the Titans, I mean, they've had a Batman, but I don't think they're going to use a Joker in their show. It could be like their version of it, maybe like a red herring, if you will. Someone else is attacking Robin, like maybe Deathstroke.
It is hard to say, because the commonality between the last topic we just talked about and talking about Titans now is, what does CW or what does Warner Brothers allow on screen, right? And I feel like you could argue it either way. Like, this would be a great topic for your high school debate team, right? Of what should and shouldn't be allowed if you were in the position of a producer over there at DC. Because you could argue, like, Joker's hotter than Joker's ever been, right? Mm-hmm. Like Joaquin Phoenix, Oscar, Buzz, all of that. Did he win the Oscar or not, right? He won the Oscar for Joker, right?
I don't remember, but there's going to be at least 8 more Jokers in the next movie.
Yeah, either way, I know he's nominated. So Joker, super hot right now, all over the place, popping up again. Jared Leto as Joker in the Snyder Cut, right? So he should be a hot property, but at the same time, like, the Joker was heavily featured in the Gotham TV show. Nobody put a stop to that, right? And then you would say, like, we were just arguing about how popular Batman is as a character, and he was popping up in Titans, right? Wasn't it season 2 that he was? I don't know how heavily he was involved.
Yeah, he was like just Bruce Wayne, I think.
But like there was, theoretically kind of a Batman presence there. So I don't know. I don't know who's in charge. I don't know if they sit down and they take a vote at a table of who will be involved and not. But I mean, kind of clicking through this trailer, they very much are hinting at very real Joker, right? They show that guy's Joker grin face on the screen.
Yeah, the dead guy. Like they are not. My fear is they're gonna like do one of those things where they just kind of allude to it and they don't cast anyone for it. It's just like someone's shadow in the back doing it, and the next thing they know, they have to deal with Robin being killed, one of the Robins, because Dick Grayson's in there. There's Jason Todd. I believe they had there's another Robin in this show. There's 3 Robins technically who've been in the show so far. So
I mean, I'm going frame by frame, right, of the carnival scene where we're seeing the crowbar move, and it's totally just a silhouette. You can't really tell what the character is, but if you look at the motions, it does kind of seem like an extravagant fellow, right? He's doing like these long, stretchy poses of the arms. So, everything I'm seeing on screen, right, hints towards Joker. Right. So it would be weird if they didn't at this point.
Yeah, exactly. And then it's exactly how the comic book did it as well, which was, for everyone who didn't know, that was that back then people got to write into DC and say, does Robin get to live or die? And everyone killed him. So that's how he died. So that's kind of fun. So Titans season 3 drops on HBO Max now August 12th, since the DC universe is now a defunct universe, if you will. I was struggling to think of where the Swamp Thing debuted the other day. I'm like, was it DC Universe or was it HBO Max? It was DC Universe, so I forgot that was the thing for a while. So
it was a little confusing because then it also had that other airing on CW. So.
Yeah, and then it came back to CW. I'm like, it wasn't HBO Max, but I'm pretty sure you can go in there and watch it now. But oh well. More set photos out in the open. Miss Marvel, we get to see her in her outfit on set using her powers pre-CGI. So this is very, very funny to look at because she's just kind of holding her hands up. But she's got her outfit on. This is classic Miss Marvel. And they're going to use her hands and probably make them stretch and embiggen like she always does.
It would be really funny if she just had like big foam green fingers on it, right? Like, we'll change it out in post, but we got to track the fingers. No stretching happening here yet.
Yeah, no, not for sure. I'm pretty sure this is almost done filming if it's not completed already. And this is like a newer set photo making the rounds, because this looks to be like maybe someone who was like in the crowd taking a photo as well, like rather than or like in the production rather than actually someone like at a distance, it looks like.
Yeah. So, I'm really curious what these powers are going to look like, right? Because this is the first time, like, if you think of like Reed Richards and Miss Marvel, the ability to kind of get big and stretch is like very cartoony, right? It makes so much sense in a comic book panel, and also it's fun to draw in comic book panels because you can draw the arm stretching across like the full page layout, going through a crowd, doing stuff like that. So how is it going to translate on screen, right? Especially in a universe that's somewhat grounded in reality. Like the previous Fantastic Four movies, had a man dressed in an orange costume, right? Like the guy from The Shield, he was the thing. Like nowadays that would be CG. So this will be our first kind of chance to look at like, how is Reed Richards going to operate once he makes it to screen?
Well, we don't have a lot of like body, changing people in the MCU, right? I mean, at most it was Ant-Man and Giant Man. Like Ant-Man and Giant Man was about as much as it goes, and now we're isolating different parts of her body as she uses the embiggen and the stretching and changing polymorphism or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of opportunity here. Now I wouldn't say how will Reed Richards look. Hopefully it's a little different, and that the movie budget's a little better than their Disney Plus budget across this. But it's going to be interesting to see these people, if she is in fact inhuman, and also with the upcoming introduction of the X-Men, will look different. These will not just be humans in the universe anymore, or in this world on Earth, that are just standard people looking. So very interesting. I'm excited for this. You feeling any better about it? You ready?
Yeah, I mean, it's making me just like think of team ups in the future, right? I would love to see two people with similar power sets chat with each other. Miss Marvel and Reed Richards just sitting down, or I guess Kamala and Reed sitting down having a chat about, isn't it fun to stretch? And then at the same time, you can think forward to like the Thing chatting with like, I don't know if who knows if how long the Hulk's going to be around, but talking to She-Hulk or another like big character, but it could be fun.
Yeah. There's a lot of opportunity here. And then also Miss Marvel will be making her transition to the movies in the Marvels as well. So knock on wood. What if the animated series from Marvel on Disney Plus is coming up? And there's a rumor here that the Killmonger episode, because he's been in a lot of the promo art, will actually feature him not going after the Wakandan throne like he did in the movie, but go international instead. He apparently will be working with Tony Stark, and we think the connection there is because they both graduated MIT and are about the same age when Black Panther rolls around. So
they're just going to different high schools and recruiting people. It's not going to be action packed at all. They're just going to be sitting down with counseling sessions. Going like, oh, would you like to go? Well, because he has that whole scholarship, right, that they talked about in Spider-Man 2, Far From Home. So they're just doing scholarship tours. That's all it is.
And that's how he started in Civil War. He's like, we're funding all of your projects. So they're just going to go around. Good going to science fairs. They're just going to science fairs.
They're science fair judges, and it's just like kind of like a buddy sitcom. No action at all.
And this is how they find Reed Richards at a science fair. Oh wait, this is Fan Force.
Oh my God!
This is Fan Force. I'll cut it out. But yeah, I think it's interesting. Again, Killmonger has been on literally a lot of the promo images, but he's been in the same outfit that he was in whenever he got into Wakanda. So it's more of his I guess mercenary look, if you will, so that he'll be using. But I'm excited. Again, they said pretty much every actor who was in the movies will be voicing their character returns. And I have a huge theory on this what if stuff that we will talk about later, Mike.
Ooh, okay.
So we'll dive into that. Did you buy your tickets for Black Widow yet?
No, not yet. But we'll figure out something.
All right. Well, social media reactions are online for the upcoming movie.
Yeah, I saw that. Where are these coming from? I saw some people that may or may not be critics talking about the film. I'm like, we are a little bit a ways, right? Usually like a week or two ahead of time, you might start to see something, but this seems a little early, Chris.
Yeah, I think it's early because no one's been to the movies in for so long, and this movie has been hyped up for about a year and a half now. So I think they're doing it a little early to remind people that Black Widow is coming. But a lot of them aren't really necessarily reviewers, but maybe, I saw on like the places I get our news stuff, people were compiling the reviews. They are spoiler-free reviews, thankfully. The embargo for that is still up, but it's interesting, again, like I said, 3 weeks out, a little under 3 weeks out for this movie, so I really wish they would wait till later, but I understand they need to get people to go out and buy tickets to go to the theaters.
Well, this also kind of maybe lends a little bit of credence to the fact that there might not be a whole lot of spoilers in this film, right? Since it is a prequel, we know where the major character ends up, right, eventually. Yeah. So maybe they're like, okay, I think we'll be a little safe here. Like, I still want to know what the reveal of who Taskmaster is, right? Is it going to be a celebrity casting? Is it going to be a character we've seen before? So I definitely don't want that spoiled anywhere out there. But beyond that Taskmaster reveal, I'm not really expecting it to have like some sort of crazy post-credit scene or, anything like that. But that's really what I don't want spoiled. So maybe I need to go in and start muting things like Taskmaster and Black Widow on my timeline.
That'd probably be pretty smart to do that. And also go ahead and get your Shang-Chi blocks ready as well for anything that comes that way.
Good idea.
But tickets are available for Black Widow. Buy it if you're going to theaters. I'm going to theaters, and I'm going to be buying it also on Disney Plus Premier Access. I'm paying
double dipping.
I am, so I can watch as much as I want.
Well, you're not really double dipping as much as you're buying two different dips.
Yeah.
And I'm going to dip in this container and dip in this container.
Yeah. I've got a single-use container, and then I've got a recyclable one. I'm going to watch it at home. So
there you go.
Over and over again. So I literally bought theater seats at the theater for this, and then theater seats at home to watch it over and over again. So we'll be jumping into that second weekend in July when it comes out. I think it comes out July 9th, right? Yeah. For that 2021, right around the corner. Tyrese Gibson has been out talking about Morbius because he's in Morbius, and it sounds like he might be the stupidest person in the movie.
What did he say, Chris? I don't care if this movie gets spoiled to death. What did he say? Tell me.
He's not spoiling the movie. He's like, yeah, this movie is definitely in the MCU. And then the interviewer was like, are you sure? He's like, yes, this is in the MCU. and then everyone's like, and then he's also like, this movie will be coming out next October, and everyone's like, okay. Sony, so it's like, it's literally coming out in January.
No, Tyrese. He's been in the Fast and the Furious franchise for too long. He doesn't know where he's at or where he's going. So this is also another one of those primo examples of actors do not know anything, right?
Yeah.
Their agents and managers do everything. They get their sides and scripts, ahead of time. They show up to set. And, maybe if they're a big build actor, like a Robert Downey Jr. or something who's taking a headline character, they'll put more of themselves into the role and they'll make it more of their own, right? Especially if they have some sort of like profit sharing involved, right? But this is just like, oh yeah, I know everything. It's just like, you don't know anything because you're just showing up and doing a job. You don't know the nuances. And to be fair, no one should be asking Tyrese these questions anyway, right?
Yeah. He wasn't in the whole movie. He's in a couple scenes.
Yeah.
Also, it was supposed to be in October of this year, several times ago before it got delayed. So for that, so I think he could be operating on old information, but he was like, yeah, it's 2022 October, and everyone's like, dude, you are just way off the rocker here. But Sony did come out and they're like, okay, no, this is on track for January 28th, and it's part of our cinematic universe for Spider-Man, whatever that is. So far we've got Venom, and we will have Venom 2 by the time this comes out, so we'll see kind of how it goes. Are we expecting a trailer anytime soon? I don't know.
No, let's ask Tyrese. You should know.
Yeah, I'll go give him a call. I got his number, so we'll do that. So, but I'm gonna say in that lane, in the Sony cinematic universe, talk about Kraven a little bit. The reported villain of the film is the Spider-Man foe, the Chameleon.
The Chameleon. I'm familiar with this character. Was featured in the 90s animated Spider-Man cartoon, the one that kind of got me hooked on the Marvel universe in general. Cinematically, I don't know how exciting the Chameleon is, but if you're talking about Kraven, who he may have had different versions of himself throughout the comic books over the year, but as far as I know, unpowered character, right? Normal human, Kraven. So I guess he would need somebody else kind of maybe lower tier to kind of hunt, and it makes sense. The Chameleon changes their looks into other people. Sounds like a perfect prey to hunt down. So those two work together in my head.
Yeah, so that's what I said. Like, someone could hire Kraven. Like, we have an infiltrator, we don't know who he is. It's a Chameleon. Like, then we kind of find out it's a Chameleon. In the comic books a while ago, the Chameleon and the Kraven were one of the storylines. They had them as half brothers as well. So
don't you just love comic books like that? Because you're just like, I need something to write. Let's just do something cool. I want to add to lore because I haven't added to lore in a while. Okay, they're gonna be brothers, and then you have some sort of fact checker go back into the history of Marvel. Will you just check and see if these people could possibly not be related, and if so, I'm just gonna make them related.
Well, exactly.
That stuff's always fun.
My guess this was one issue in 1979 or something like that, where we had the same mother or same father or something stupid like that, and you're like, okay, that's fine. And then that they've probably writing movies about related people, and oh my gosh, it's all about family. It's Fast and Furious kind of stuff now, right?
Well, oh man, we're gonna be dealing with so much familial stuff once kind of Kang hits the ground running, because he has a lot of weird possible relations to either Doom or I think Reed Richards possibility. So I think the safest thing is to strip a lot of that away and just have Kang be Kang without any relations. But
different versions of Kang.
If Kraven wants to, I said Kang because it was talking about if Kraven wants to be related to the Chameleon, so be it.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Oh my gosh, you're hunting your own brother. This is literally the plot of Fast 9, is it not? Is Fast 9 not the Toretto brothers fighting each other?
No, there's less animal print involved in that though.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, you'd think there'd be more animal print in the Fast and the Furious franchise.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, is it? Do you think they print up the cars?
Oh yeah, that's after they go to the space in the next movie, they got to go to the jungle. They got to go back terrestrial.
I thought the last one was... No, what's that?
No, Fast and the Furious is supposed to supposedly mash up with Jurassic Park, right? In some sort of future fantasy of all moviegoers. But wouldn't it be great if that's how the franchise moves forward? It's just basically add cars to any movie. So they eventually, once they go to space, they slip through a wormhole, and then the cars land on Pandora, and then it's the Avatars versus Dom and his gang. Oh man! Print it.
Does Transformers? Is that also owned in the same universe as well?
The thing is, the Fast franchise will just become so lucrative. It'll be like Fortnite, where it doesn't matter. They'll play with any IP. We don't care if you're the same studio or not.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, cars.
Fortnite and Fast and the Furious. How has that not happened yet? That seems perfect.
They have their growth hasn't happened since the last Fast movie, so because of the pandemic. So I 100% see it coming. There was we talked about this Forza last week. There was a Forza Fast and the Furious game that came out a couple years ago too. So there's that. Anyway, wherever we were, Kraven.
Yeah, we were talking about Kraven. I don't know how that got there. Exactly. Anyway, Star Trek, right?
Yeah. Star Trek, Picard, the only Star Trek I've actually, other than the Abrams. Well, I've watched a lot more movies than that. TV show wise, Picard is the only Star Trek show I've watched. I really enjoyed it when it came out a couple years ago. The season 2 trailer drops and reveals the return of Q. Are you familiar with the character Q, Mike?
So I watched the trailer. I'm not familiar with anything in this trailer whatsoever, but the funny thing is, when you're alive long enough and you've seen enough trailers for enough IP that's been around for a while, you can tell based on the way things are edited of just like, oh, this is a reveal.
Yeah.
This is a character that existed long ago in this character's life. Oh, this is where the people at home watching it on YouTube gasp. This is the people talk about the most in the comments. So it's just funny watching something I have no connection to, but I can kind of feel all of the moments that they're trying to highlight.
So I watched the first episode of Star Trek's Next Generation on Paramount Plus recently, and the very first episode is Picard running into this guy Q, who you saw in there. And so literally that's the only other time I've seen this guy. He's like some sort of omnipotent, immortal entity who kind of like works in the dimensions. He can like reset time and like kind of messes with people a little bit, if you will. I would say. Not unlike the TVA in Loki, but more like a little more chaotic, if you will. So there's that reveal. There's also the reveal of the Borg 7 of 9, played by Jerry Carlisle, I think is her name, or Jerry Ryan. She is normally covered in Borg parts. You remember what the Borg are, like the robot people?
Yeah, they like the cyborg things that are hive mind, right?
Yeah. So she was a Borg before in the part of the time, and now she's not. But now it's like she's waking up and she doesn't have any of those parts. So it sounds like there's some time travel and some timeline changes going on here, because he seemed to talk a little about timelines and stuff whenever they were kind of talking about like what's going on here, why is things going on. The first season didn't deal with time travel, but I definitely see like this one's probably going to do that a little bit to mess with Picard, and again, Patrick Stewart. He's getting up there in age. He can't be doing this forever. So
season 2. Paramount Plus this time around. No more CBS All Access. So you got to hop on your Paramounts.
That's right. I'm very excited for
Have you heard anything about that new Paramount original, like that Mark Wahlberg movie that was like supposed to hit theaters? Infinite. Yeah, I haven't heard anything about it, but it looked dumb. I heard it wasn't.
I heard it was dumb. So yeah.
I was gonna say I heard it wasn't good. So, but it kind of looks dumb enough to where maybe it'll entertain me. But who knows?
Put it on the background. I mean, Mark Wahlberg, he did Planet of the Apes, so I don't know if he can do much worse than that. So, but he just doesn't. I just don't buy him as a time traveling warrior. Like it feels like a Highlander kind of deal, but worse. So I don't know. Anyway, so Picard season 2 trailer up. Catch it on Paramount Plus if you're into Star Trek. Very excited to watch that. Mortal Kombat recently had an animated movie called Scorpion's Revenge. And they are now doing a sequel to that called Battle of the Realms over at WB with the same voice acting cast.
Okay.
I'm very excited that Mortal Kombat's kind of getting like a revitalization kind of right now. It's got a movie. Mortal Kombat 11's been out for several years, but I just got it and started kind of playing it. I was talking to someone about it. Friend of the show, Brian, this week, I think he was buying it on Nintendo Switch. And stuff like that. I mean, is this something like if they go down like a Mortal Kombat animated universe? Is that something you'd be more interested in than a live action.
Yeah, it would be easier to kind of get some of these concepts across, right? In animation, you're not grounded in the reality of human figures. But it does.
The fights
it
would
does,
be so much better, I think.
Yeah, it does kind of feel like though, like there's some sort of new executive over there in charge of the franchise of Mortal Kombat. Of just like, hey, we're letting our IP languish over here, not making TV shows and movies out of it. Like we can make video games all day, people are gonna buy them, but like. Go make more stuff for us. I'm sure Amazon Prime will buy anything, right? I feel like that's how things have shifted, right? It used to be Netflix that would buy anything and turn anything into a series. Now it starts to feel like Amazon Prime is that house. Go sell them a bunch of Mortal Kombat stuff. So
yeah.
That's what it feels like. Maybe they're doing with their IP over there.
Yeah, I mean they're doing stuff with it. I think that's fine. I think the movie again there was no tournament. But this Scorpion's Revenge had a tournament in it, Mike, and that makes me happy.
So we are podcasters, and we always have ideas for other podcasts that we like to do. We never follow through with them because podcasts, as simple as they are to create, they're time intensive, right? You got to sit down in front of a microphone and talk. But like I've been rewatching Yu Yu Hakusho, right? And it just gives me don't oh no me.
I'm gonna oh no you.
It gives me like this little part of my brain that loves to watch tournament animes, right? Because it's like the perfect type of story arc. It's kind of like the sports narrative in any sort of like sports movie or TV show, like mixed with anime, because you have like the structure of a tournament and you know the goal that your character has. And like Yu Yu Hakusho has like a lot of these. Like it feels like you're basically moving from a tournament format to another tournament format to another tournament format. And I mean, like Mortal Kombat, you have it right there on a silver platter for you. And it makes me want to kind of just go through like the history of like different tournaments. We were talking about Dragon Ball before we hopped on the mic today. Tons of tournament-based structures in there. That I feel like My Hero Academia really popped off in that first season with tournaments. Somebody needs to make an anime tournament podcast where like every week you're just dissecting a tournament arc in an anime.
Well, let me drop one in that we are both fans of. Zoids.
There's a tournament arc in there too.
Those are tournaments. They fight in the battle rings for the Zoids in the new century. And also, I know you're not a Gundam person, but after Gundam Wing, there was a series, I think it was after, called G Gundam, which was a
G Gundam. Yeah. That's a tournament arc as well.
Yeah. So there is plenty of tournament animes. Just
don't steal my idea, people. All right. I was thinking of calling it like the Grand Anime Tournament Podcast or something like that. I'm still working around in my head. I'll never have time to do it, but like I don't know. At least throw me a bone if it takes off, right? If this is giving you the grand idea.
Yeah. That's a lot of stuff to watch, but I feel there's an opportunity here to you can break it like you can even do like different Dragon Ball tournaments as different like episodes. That way you're not doing them all in one. But yeah.
Oh yeah, no, it wouldn't be all in one. You'd be hitting different ones. Like one episode would be like the first kind of martial arts tournament in like Dragon Ball Z. And, does
Pokemon count?
Oh, that's a good question.
He's always fighting in tournaments.
Yeah, there's like thousands of episodes of. I don't know if I've ever actually legitimately watched a tournament arc on Pokemon, the animated series, because I remember when that show first kicked off, it took forever for them to really get to anything that was like tournament based. He was always just lost in the woods. He like had to battling a freaking Caterpie. Like, come on, just like do something else.
He had to catch us. He can't just go out with his first Pokemon and win the tournaments, Mike. Even though the first Pokemon he has wins every tournament for him. I digress. I feel Pokemon's would be up there in terms of anime tournaments. So I don't know if anyone has any more they want to add to this list. Send it our way because I think there's some. Back to Scorpion's Revenge. It's had a really good voice cast. Jennifer Carpenter, who played Dexter's sister in Dexter, as Sonya Blade, and Joel McHale as Johnny Cage in there.
Oh, cool.
Steve Blum, who's like literally voiced almost every animated Wolverine, is Sub-Zero, and a couple other actors. So I think that's pretty interesting. It follows a very similar plot line to the original Mortal Kombat movie, the live action one, where there's a tournament kind of going on, and it's got all the same basic characters throughout. But the next one is coming in. I don't think it has a release date, but I'm very excited to see more of this and see if they kind of go down that road like, oh, we can make more of this, because you've not played Mortal Kombat 11, but it has a really, really cool story mode where you just pretty much you fight a couple matches and then you watch a lot of CGI cutscenes. And
Nothing wrong with that.
I would love to sit there and just watch all the cutscenes together, because it'd be fantastic. So
Oh, that sounds wild, man.
yeah, take a look into that if you get a chance. I played some Mortal Kombat 11 this weekend just to do the fatalities. I'm getting better at them. Mostly because they're in the pause menu now, and you can just do them real quick.
That's all you need. That's all you need, right?
Yeah. So Disney has officially decreed that Wednesdays are the new Fridays, and you don't get a choice because Disney rules everything. Due to Loki's popularity and it being the #1 watched show, I think, on Disney Plus, future show premieres, almost all of their upcoming ones, have shifted back to Wednesdays now. I've not confirmed all of these dates. Some of them look like they could have been Thursday or Fridays, but like Monsters at Work is now July 2nd. Turner Hooch, July 16th. Behind the Attractions, July 16th. Chip and Dale Park Life, July 23rd. Wonderful World of Mickey Mouse, Batch 2, July 22nd. Oh, sorry, I'm reading these backwards. They're going back 2 days pretty much. All right,
Gotcha.
or 4 or 5 days. So, I think this is there's two thought process to this, Mike, and you tell me what you think of this.
Okay.
One, they're putting more movies out on Fridays on Disney Plus, so they want to get their TV shows away from the movies. I think that's a fair aspect. But two, I think they're taking the wrong lessons from Loki. Just because you could put that show on any day of the week and it would have been popular. It's not just because it happened to be Wednesday. I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, I feel like there's a couple schools of thought too, right? Because like if you remember back in the day, right, when people watched broadcast television, the Friday night slot was usually like the death slot, right? Like that's where you put like your super niche, like nerdy shows where people didn't go out on the weekends on Friday nights. They just stayed home and watched their like nerd TV shows. Now you could say, well, Loki, come on, that's the perfect example. But Disney Plus is not going for anything niche, right? They're trying to capture big audiences. So it is funny that over the years, a lot of these streaming stuff, like from Netflix and everything, started shooting for Fridays, but maybe that made more sense like in a binge format, right? Like, oh, we're about to give you like 10 hours of content and you're going to start watching it on Friday and watch it through the weekend. And maybe they're worried if you started watching it on a Wednesday, you'd get distracted by work on Thursday and Friday and you wouldn't get it back around to it on the weekend. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it is kind of funny that Wednesday seems to be the date that they've landed on. But I don't want Wednesdays to be the new Friday so much as I want 8 p.m. to be the new midnight.
Right. Yeah.
So I stop popping these off in the middle of the night, especially on a Wednesday when nobody's watching them. But yeah, it could make sense. A Friday the weekend seems to be more seems to make more sense for a film, whereas a series can drop on a Wednesday. And also, like, what used to be must-see TV Thursdays, Thursday used to be the big night for TV, so I don't know. They have the analytics. They know what it's saying.
Well, it's cyclical because, I mean, Fridays used to be big in the 90s, right? Remember TGIF, they got as Friday, like, television blocks. I grew up at more of a Sunday block family, right? Like the Fox Sunday night with The Simpsons and the animated block on that. I'm really surprised, they didn't go with a Sunday, watch it on Sunday and then talk about it on Monday. But no, they've really taken literally because of Loki's popularity. But I think the show is going to be popular no matter which day you put it on, and moved every other show in that regard to it. So I think this is a weird kind of deal, but we're just gonna have to get. Thankfully, like the only show I'm really interested here is Monsters at Work. So I'm not gonna be very upset about 3 a.m. drops of The Wonderful World of Mickey Mouse or Growing Up Animal, whatever that means. So, we'll see what the next Marvel TV show is. Bad Batch is still on Fridays for at least the next foreseeable future. I think we're only like 6 or 7 episodes in, so we got that. All right, it's the end of the episode. You know what happens at the end of the episode, Mike?
Oh, it's when we talk about Loki,
we talk
boy.
about the latest show, and it happens to be Loki, episode 2. Boy, was it the longest week ever to get to episode 2. I will tell you this right now.
It felt so strange, because we were talking about this on Sunday's episode of the podcast last week, and we're like, well, we're just a couple days from Loki. And then it snuck. It's the first time, Chris, any one of these things has ever snuck up on me. It was Wednesday, the middle of the day, and I think it was later in the day. It was like Wednesday afternoon for me, and you text me, "Oh, have you seen Loki yet?" And I was like, "Oh, we didn't watch Loki yet." Now, usually me and my wife always watch it together, and she was out of the apartment, so we wouldn't have watched it at lunch anyway. But I was like, "Oh yeah, we didn't watch Loki yet," so that could be a good or bad thing for something dropping in the middle of the week. But we got around to watching it. Luckily, no one spoiled it for us.
Yeah, it's going to be really hard to not talk about these or take notes now on Wednesdays to talk about them on Sundays, because I'm like, what exactly did happen in between this? But this episode, again, spoilers for anyone who is not familiar with these segments, it was very interesting because the first 5 minutes, Mike, we needed a hero. And I was like, "Hey Mike, did you watch this yet?" And you're like, "No." I'm like, "I can't tell you anything. I don't want to give it away. So just text me when you do."
The best part about it was, right, when you start to prime me like that, I'm like, "Oh, what am I about to see, right? What are we going to see?" I saw some people talking about, I know we brought it up early in the show, but I saw some whispers of people talking about Kang the Conqueror earlier in the week of like, oh, could he possibly appear in Loki since they're dealing with the TVA, or is he really going to be keyed up for possibly the next Ant-Man movie? So I was like, okay, well, Kang's out there in the news. Maybe he's going to show up in Loki. What's going on here? So I'm keeping a watchful eye. I'm looking at all the corners of the screen, right? I wasn't expecting the audio cue to be the reason why you texted me to ask if I saw it. And folks, you listened to the show last week, Bonnie Tyler strikes again, showing up, and it's just like now we're talking three big mainline things, and then that one TikTok video I saw, right, that I'm assuming some people also didn't see, but now 4 times in a week.
Yeah, still
a great song. I'm not tired of it. Put it in whatever you put it in the next 8 movies that I go to the theaters and see. I'll be happy to hear it because it's just great and it's just fun. But wow, that was hilarious. I jumped out of my couch, and I was like, "It's the song, it's the song!" And then my wife kind of looks at me like, "What are you talking about?" And I was like, "All right, that's right. You didn't hear me go on and on about this song on the podcast."
Yeah,
but hilarious. It was a really fun moment.
Yeah, I was like, I can't tell him. And I tried to text other people. I'm like, "Did you watch it?" They're like, "No." I'm like,
yeah.
Don't tell Mike when you do.
Yeah, if you don't remember, it was the song that was in like that circus tent, right? Or that tent that was at the medieval fair.
Where, they started playing it in like on a radio or something that was out
where the
Renaissance fair wouldn't really play it normally.
Yeah, exactly. But that's where it was.
So literally so this episode we actually get to who the variant they're hunting is, the Loki variant they're hunting is. Played by Sophia Di Martino. At the end, we find out, and literally, like every time in the episode, I saw them like, maybe that person's Loki. Maybe that person was Loki. Because I'm like, I thought like when they went to the Ren Fair, like the one girl who was talking to the TVA, I'm like, maybe she's Loki. She's got green on her dress.
Okay.
So I've got like
you're looking for Mephisto, man.
Yeah, I've got Mephisto symptom problems here. But we find out very very quickly this is it. So Loki, this one's pretty interesting because it starts with Loki has been researching and like reading about the TVA and how to essentially be a time cop, if you will. And this has got some really funny moments in it. I really enjoyed him.
Yeah.
Kind of hamming it up in the Renaissance Fair tent, being like, well, what if I know that you know that I know that you know that I know that this, I'm going to trick you, kind of thing.
Yeah, it's just great because like this is how you kind of, for lack of a better term, beat Loki down into a character that you can kind of manipulate and have somebody else like lord over him. Because most of the time, Loki the trickster has always lorded over everybody or has had a scheme going on in the background. Because that's just the way it is. This is the first time once you get into the episode, I felt him schemeless, right? Yeah. Because like Owen Wilson knows exactly what he's doing. He doesn't fall for anything that he's saying. He's basically dangling a carrot in front of him the whole time of like, oh, if you behave, you'll get to see the timekeepers, right? And, he's not giving them the time of the day, right? He's basically negging Loki the entire episode. So it's just great to see like Tom Hiddleston doing this performance of like trying to be like, he's like playing like a whole new type of character, but he's still embodying Loki that we all know. So, and then whether or not you hate it or love it or you just think it's cliche at this point in time, I love the Marvel sense of humor. And like you just said, it's all over this episode and I love it. It's so funny.
Yeah, well, I think it really shows when they go back to Pompeii, right? Loki's discovered that his variants are hiding in apocalypses. So he gets to Pompeii.
Throwing people's cabbages around. He's telling them they're gonna die.
Tell the goat. He's like, he let the goats be free, run free. and he's just kind of messing around, and then as the volcano erupts. It's very, very entertaining with that. I also enjoyed. We got a little bit more missed minutes this episode.
Oh yeah,
kind of jabbing at Loki, like messing with him when he's at his desk. So at the end of this, we actually get to go into the future. So I think this is the first time we've actually seen the future of the MCU in a Marvel movie.
I was keeping a watchful eye. I mean, apart from the hologram that you see in the parking lot, I didn't really catch a lot of futuristic Easter eggs myself. I was looking at every sign and every aisle on every product, and then I started to realize this was like, what, in the 40s, right? 49?
Yeah, 2049.
It might have been 46, something like that.
Well,
we're talking 20 years in the future, and I was like...
Well, it's one of those things with this one that in the future, I think it was like the second of 3 apocalypses. Is that right? That happened. So like maybe they got through like one hurricane last year and they rebuilt it, and this is like, this is just kind of what we got left over. So they can probably cover it up pretty quick. But
but I mean, if you think about it, if you go 20 years in the past, I mean, a grocery store wouldn't look drastically different. There wouldn't be any self-checkouts, I guess, but that would be about it.
Yeah. So there's the rocks cart, which is funny. They use rocks on every back.
Oh yeah, that's a big Easter egg right there.
And then we find out that this Loki is like mind controlling all the different people. I thought she was like body hopping, and then you come to find out she's just mind controlling without. Like from a distance, was really cool. And then we got the reveal that is in fact the blonde female version of Loki, if you will. We think it's Loki. There is some people think it might be the Enchantress, but I think it's Loki. So and she's been stealing reset charges, and literally, I didn't think they'd do this in episode 2, Mike. They send the reset charges back to all the different timelines to literally, quote unquote, nuke the timeline, if you will, at different points in this.
Yeah, I mean, props to them. I mean, this is really effective writing in general, right? You know, most of the time when you think of these big moments, you're instinctually going to say like, oh, I'm going to save this for the end. I'm going to save this for the cliffhanger. The last episode is going to be crazy. But really, usually the answer is no, make it happen as soon as possible, because that's the craziest stuff that you want to deal with. So it is kind of cool to see that stuff happening in the second episode. And also, it was just really clever of like, where should this character be hiding in like natural disasters, because that's actually really smart, because the timeline gets wiped clean. You don't have to worry about the butterfly effect if all the butterflies are vaporized, right?
Yeah.
So I like that really clever writing, and I feel like I have visually seen a female Loki like drawing before, like from a comic. Does this character exist within the comics? Yeah. Like, and it's not just like, I'm not talking like female Thor that's just Jane Foster that puts on the costume. Like, is this actually like a female version of Loki, or
this is an alternate universe of Loki, right? That is female. Mm-hmm. In the comic books, Loki is gender fluid. When he dies, he can come back as a child, a human version, as Loki version, or female version. For a long time, there was a dark-haired version of Loki. Essentially, imagine like a female Tom looking Hiddleston looking person forever. This blonde version is kind of there was someone who when Asgard was on Earth who woke up with Loki's powers, and her name was Sylvie, which is kind of what they credit her as. So I think this will be a alternate variant of Loki, though, all around.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, she does specifically say that she hates the name Loki, so I don't know if at one point in time she was named Loki and then changed, or if for the longest time people kept confusing her for Loki, and then she was tired of getting confused for Loki.
Well, it could also be... Again, some people think she's the Enchantress, but a female version of Loki might have a different name if Loki's a masculine name in that universe or something like that.
And also, if you take it all the way back to earlier in the episode where we're talking about comic book authors and like other authors like writing multiverses, it's just what works best for your story, right? Yep. If there's another universe of Lokis, there's just a chance when that frost giant, that frost giant's womb birthed out a baby, it just popped out a girl instead of a boy, who knows what direction that they want to take it.
Yeah, exactly. There's tons of this. Now, one of the things I want to take a look at is here, whenever at the end of the episode, when the TVA is showing all the different timelines being branched off and all the things affected, I've got some screenshots of this from Twitter. So literally almost every one of these locations is an MCU moment, right?
Oh, I didn't notice that there was a location data on this little chart. Okay.
So the time and the data, the year and the data, is very much events that happen in the MCU. I believe these branches are the what if shows, because every one of these so far has had a what if kind of episode theory around it.
That's so clever. That's a really interesting thing to look at. I was thinking more broader MCU. I thought like, oh, these are the fractures that we're going to be seeing in the multiverse of madness, and then see hints of it in Spider-Man No Way Home.
Yeah, they 100% could lead off this, because Michael Waldron is involved literally in all of these things. But I think a lot of these could be like, oh, these exact moments we can tell fuller stories in the what if, like what if here you saw Loki, now here's what if these would have really happened if that thing spun off. So I think that's a possibility of this throughout the whole thing. Now I have been bringing this up every episode with my wife. There's one very interesting thing with the TVA. Only in the very first episode do we see someone that is not a human at the TVA. So
who is that?
There was a scroll at the office at the TVA.
Oh,
before he gets a ticket and goes in. When he has a ticket before he goes in, it's kind of vague, but like I think Loki has been moved into like a humanized version of the TVA. Like there's going to be multiple TVAs all looking at different timelines down the road. I think the TVA is hiding something. You kind of get that vibe whenever like what's her name has like a high school pin. Later in the episode, Judge Renslayer. So why is everything focused on Earth and humans in this version of the TVA? We know there are aliens, and aliens that look different. We've been through Guardians of the Galaxy and Thor. So I'm very interested in why everything in this, other than the fact it's probably cheaper and easier to explain to people, but like, is that going to come into play? Like, oh, this is funny that everything here is revolving around Earth and humanoid figures.
Who knows? The question I was going to broach to you is, what are the odds we ever get to see the timekeepers, right? It seems like you said with the judge, when she sits down with Owen Wilson and they're having that chat in her office, she kind of speaks in a weird cadence when she's talking about the timekeepers. Like she's like, oh, no, the timekeepers, they're way too busy. They can't deal with all this. No. You shouldn't be talking to them. Definitely don't look behind that curtain.
Yep.
So it kind of seems like they either have been gone for eons, for centuries, and they've just been moving forward as what they think supposed to be happening, and really nobody's making decisions like that. Or who knows, maybe there is a possibility. As much as I would love to see these kind of mythic characters rendered on screen, because we've only really seen them in statues, it would be cool to see them, but it is really starting to feel like, even just with that one scene, is, oh, they're not there anymore. Like this idea of Loki being able to meet them, he's going to learn they don't even exist anymore.
Exactly. I think they either don't exist or they never did exist. This is maybe, again, I think there's multiple timelines. Like they talked about multiple times. We've gone into one sacred timeline. Well, they're all people, they're all human-looking versions. Maybe there's multiple timelines operating independently, and we're just supposed to keep them from intertwining, and that's all the TVA does. But it's all a big illusion, right? Like there never was the timekeepers. They never existed. It's just a big illusion, the big secret, right, to hide something else going on. I agree wholeheartedly. I don't think they're there. I think we're gonna find out. The Kang stuff you saw earlier this week was they think one of the timekeepers was Kang, because in that little animated thing that looked like a Hanna-Barbera animation, one of the timekeepers was blue.
Well, also, since I had Kang on the brain, I was looking at the statues throughout the episode, and the garb looks similar to what Kang has been presented in like the comic books, and even Earth's Mightiest Heroes, the animated series as well. So that could just make a logical sense, because he has a connection to kind of these things. But I'm looking out for you, Kang.
Yeah.
You might be hiding in the corner somewhere.
Well, we are only 3 more sleeps to the next one, Mike.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Just it sneaks up on you. I mean, that's a good thing. I'm not complaining.
No.
But
I know.
More Loki.
Yeah, we all got 4 episodes left. This week is our halfway point, which is crazy to think of. Because this show's just killing it. I think it's knocking it out of the park every week. Both episodes, it's delivering. I feel better talking about it than some of the other ones even. Like, I'm just excited to see where this goes because we don't know. We literally don't know where this is going to end up. So, very excited. Anything else you want to add to Loki, Mike?
No, I'm having a blast, man.
Loving it. All right, well, that's our episode this week, folks. We are wrapping it up. If people want to know what you're doing, what you're up to, Mike, where can they find you at?
Well, they can find me at Mike Royer Design on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. And you can read my web comics at pickledcomics.com. Chris, if people want to catch up with you, see what you're power washing, where can they find you?
You can find me on, you got me, threw me off there, Twitter, Valdan, VALDAN, or Instagram, Valdan87. People want to know more what you're up to, or more about the show, what we're doing, what we're up to when we got reviews coming up. Where can they find that at?
Yeah, if you want to find Chris's 1-800 number to hire him to come to your house and pressure wash it, you can head on over to superheroslate.com. That is the best place to find all the avenues we host our show and to get our awesome show notes. I love our show notes. So if you want to check out all of those first look photos of Supergirl, we got all of those Twitter links. That Batmobile link that apparently is very elusive. That one actually is harder to find. Like if you just search like the hashtag Supergirl or even Batmobile, those things weren't popping up on Twitter for me at all. So you want to go check out that Batmobile. It's in our show notes. Exclusive, super official. So go check that out at superheroslate.com. You can also find us on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, wherever else you love to listen to fine podcasts. And please like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and you can get merch over at superheroslate.com/store. Please reach out and let us know what other animes have great tournament arcs. I might just be doing this on my own, just watching them just to see what's fun. So go to your inbox, type up an email, superheroslate at gmail.com. Reach out on social media. I want to know some more anime tournament arcs. And if you're a super fan of the show, all you got to do is share the show with a friend, share the show with a buddy, get your vaccination, and we will see you all at the theaters, hopefully on July 9th.
All right. We'll see you folks then.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks for listening, and don't forget to subscribe.
Oh, my God. Hold on. Hold on. I got to go listen to my own show. Okay, here we go.
It took me longer to do this part than anything else in the show last
Oh, my gosh. Okay, I'm going to give you a lot of credit then on the podcast then.